Over the last few weeks we've noticed coolant leaking into our engine room and think that it may be coming from a thermostat housing.
Well, we've identified the problem. The first thing we've got to do is drain the coolant out of the heat exchanger. It's a little bit messy, but be your first job. And unfortunately on this boat the only way to do that is to let it go into the bilge. So these are the bolts we have to take out. One there, this one's on the alternator bracket, and one down the bottom. These two are quite easy to remove. These ones are a little bit harder, and right down in there there's a nut on a stud, and that's the hardest one to get out. First thing to do is remove the top of the thermostat housing. Ooh, breeze is nice. Take this hose off to the heat exchanger, and that's the bit we want to get off first. They're all metric nuts and bolts on the Kubotas, so these are 12mm ring spanner. Two bolts in the top of the housing, that should break off. A little bit glued up. Okay, so that's off. There's our thermostat. Gasket. That thermostat will come out with a little bit of work. I'm not too worried about damaging it because I've got a replacement one. Okay, we've got to take the bypass line off now from the thermostat. Just a return line to the pump. Bypass line out the way. I'll just undo the bottom clip and turn it around a bit. Okay, now this housing here is the one I've got to take off. First thing to take off is the bracket for the alternator. And then we're going to remove the alternator tension bracket, which is actually, this bolt, it forms part of the thermostat housing. Tight. Get the alternator out of the way. Now we've taken one bolt out. There's 4 bolts in this housing. That's the easy one. This is the second easy one down on this side. But then there's one there and one down the bottom, and they're quite hard to get at. This is definitely the trickiest one, but I can't see how you get this water pump housing off without a lot of work. It looks like it's part of the timing case or something, so you can get it. A little bit of mucking around. Just be careful you don't round off this nut. It's on a stud, but you don't get much swing of the spanner, and it's in a pretty tight corner, but you can do it. Okay, it comes off. You'll see down here the stud is that long that it won't let that come out, and that's a real pain. So this is the tricky bit. To get that out, you've really got to lever it out past the stud. I'm not too worried about damaging this because I'm replacing it anyway, but if I get a screwdriver down there and with a bit of force from a hammer, okay, well, there's the offending part, the thermostat housing. And if you look, you can see there's a bit of corrosion that's broken through down at the bottom of the housing. So it's a little bit corroded all the way around here. I don't know whether it's corrosion or caused by cavitation of the water flowing through. But that's what's caused our leak, because it's found its way to the outside of the housing. 14 years of use, 5,000 hours the engines are done, so yeah, probably time to replace them. Okay, these are the parts we've had to buy. The thermostat housing, about 180 bucks. A gasket kit, which you probably wouldn't have to use, but while I've got things off, I just like to replace the gaskets on it. And we're also going to replace the thermostat. They're 14 years old, the thermostats on this boat. Still working, but while I've got it apart, I might as well put a new thermostat in as well.
Firstly, put the gasket in place.
Might be too close.
A bit finicky, but you can get them.
Once the bolts are tightened, refit the thermostat housing top and the hoses.
See, I've used a bit of silicone hose in between the thermostat and the thing. You want to put your hose clamps on nice and tight on the silicone because it's pretty slippery stuff, and if you don't get them up nice and tight they can come off, but very good hose. A bit of Teflon tape around plugs and things on your cooling system is always a good idea. Not only does it help seal things up, but it always makes them easier to get out when you've got to get them out next time. We'll put that back in before we fill the system up with water again. Okay, well that's the job done. Just check that all your hose clamps are tight and make sure everything's back as it should be. The only thing we've got left to do now is make up a bit of coolant and put it in the motors. Don't forget to do that before you start them, because you'll end up with a bigger job than what we've just done if you don't. Alright, all good.